Even though Nikola Jokic won the MVP last year, for some reason not enough people are convinced he could win it again. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is nonsense, considering the crazy good numbers he's putting up on a nightly basis. But it's not just the points or the rebounds, it's his passing that sets him apart from anyone else at any size. And that's why I'm here to tell you that without a doubt in my mind, this guy is the MVP. Let's start with his passing. If you want to be prepared for when he's going to get almost all his dimes, just wait till he gets it down low on the block. For reasons I'll explain in a bit, defenders have this incredibly foolish habit of turning their heads away from the ball when their man cuts to the basket, allowing Jokic to throw these softballs into a small window. And his teammates are so used to it by now, they don't even flinch when the ball comes. Here it is again, the guy who feeds the post just wanders through the lane minding his own business, and here Siakam turns his head away from the ball, and that's what Jokic is waiting for as he leads him with the pass, and it's too late for the help to come. Attention NBA teams, stop trying to double Jokic off the cutter's man before he starts to dribble. It's too easy for him to see it coming, and these catches come so close to the basket, there is no hope for the help to get there in time. Jokic also has a knack for spotting cutters after he's begun his move off the dribble. Mills is physical with the post feeder and stays in front, so now it's time for Jokic to do his dance moves. But based on this footwork, I don't think he intended to score, as he immediately spots Green cutting and uses his height advantage to throw the ball over his defender. Again, expertly leading the cutter right into the catch and layup, which is goaltended. Here's one of the few real plays I saw them run to get Jokic a post-up. Although the spacing is screwy, Gordon is trying to get Jokic's man out of position before the inside ball screen is set, but this action should happen closer to the midline of the court. Now watch Jokic circle around on the roll into a cross screen on the weak side. Pretty good defense by Blake, but nice pass to lead Jokic back towards the middle, and Jokic already knows that Barton was on the block after screening for him and gets the beautiful assist. Here's a similar play where they try to set up a post-up by having Jokic inside ball screen on one side, then get a cross screen to the opposite side low block. Toronto does an excellent job defending this, but here's what Jokic is scanning. He knows Gordon will continue his cut to the basket, and Jeff Green will try and find the open space in the lane around the free throw line, all while Bones Highland is spotting up in the corner. Doubling off of Green's man would naturally indicate Green getting the ball. Jokic stares right at him as he brings the ball up high over his head. Remember, he's got a huge height advantage over OG. Scotty Barnes is lured to Green based on Jokic's eyes, so he simply flicks his wrist for a no-look pass to the wide-open Gordon for a layup. If you're wondering why Nikola Jokic isn't getting enough credit for his monster MVP-like season so far, we can make a list, almost like we're keeping score. Number 1, he won it last year, so there's fatigue. 2, he plays in small market Denver. And 3, the team's record isn't stellar. Against the Knicks, the post feeder cuts through, but Randle stays in front and doesn't turn his head away from the ball. It doesn't seem possible that he can see RJ Barrett sneaking all the way over off of his man in the weak side corner. What Jokic sees is Barton and Gordon spotted up and only Fournier between them. He does get some help from Morris, who's pointing to the corner, so without even looking, he throws a side pass like a laser with perfect precision right on the numbers to Gordon for a wide open corner 3. Another skip pass the Nuggets try to set up is cut the post feeder through while setting a flare screen for a weak side wing shooter. Morris already knows what's going to happen as he tells Gordon to bring the ball over to Jokic's side. Jeff Green is looking to screen while DiVincenzo gets lured to help needlessly on the cutter. Another surgical strike that hits Morris on the chin. All he has to do is let it fly. Another area of the court he lives at is the high post, with the same results. There's less defensive pressure up here, and Fournier turns his head and loses sight of the ball, so an easy drop-off pass gets Barton right to the rim for the lay-in. It's possible that this semi-awkward split step makes Hernan Gomez think he's not going to make a move in this position, but Morris is savvy, fakes a pin down for Gordon in the corner, and once he gets his right foot slightly below his defender, it's over. Jokic can lead him right to the cup for another layup. The handoff is a very common action the Nuggets use from the high post, and the threat of the player coming around such a big obstacle in Jokic and getting downhill for a layup is very real. As a result, The backdoor cut is set up perfectly. Notice how Barton gallops to his right, then lifts both feet in the air so he can land and explode backdoor. This is how everyone should utilize their feet when cutting backdoor, and Jokic has no problem slipping that ball through the smallest of windows to lead to the dunk. Again, Corey Joseph has his head turned away from the ball. Morris lifts both feet to split and go and is by his man and receiving a soft lead pass for an easy layup. Now let's talk about his threat to score as a post-up player. You need only look at the right block. And if I'm his defender, I'm most concerned about him using his left foot as the pivot and spinning baseline for all manner of soft finishes at the rim. He clearly feels most comfortable utilizing his left shoulder into the defender to get space, and it doesn't have to be a spin all the way down the baseline. He also has a beautiful jump hook with his left arm out in front to protect the ball. If the defender is smart enough to take away that spin, he shortens the step and can release it straight-armed over his head with just the flick of the wrist. And to make matters worse for the defense, he loves to use a left foot pivot to open up to the basket and shoot the open jumper from 15 feet. With the left foot as the pivot foot, the right leg clears a little more space to him as he faces up to the basket, making these practice shots from 12 to 15 feet. Now, to keep the defense honest, he will attack the middle with a left-handed dribble. And watch how he gathers the ball, then uses that right elbow underneath Cat's arm to get by him. The right foot steps outside of Cat's right foot as well, and that means game over for the defense. Both elbows flare out on the gather to protect the ball, making it harder for the refs to call an offensive foul unless there's a lot of overt contact. And his left hand has just as much soft touch as the right, so you won't see many dunks, just little finger rolls over the front of the rim. The last piece to his offensive puzzle is his outside shooting. He's at league average for three-point shooting at over 4-point attempts per game, and he generates a majority of his shots by getting a touch at the high post, then making a pass and replacing himself back behind the three-point line. Here's more of the handoff action we talked about earlier. With Barton drawing so much of the focus coming around that Jokic screen, it generates the wide-open three and he drops it in clean. Morris does the same as he drags the defense down with him on the handoff, and Jokic can softly drift out to the top of the key and shoot over the small that's switched onto him. So keep your eye on Jokic when he's patrolling the high post and either passes or hands off. Most of the time, you can bet he'll drift back behind the arc and look for a shot, and it's a great way to let the offense work for him, allowing his teammates to generate open looks for Jokic instead of the other way around. Another reason why he might not get the same MVP focus is that he doesn't hold the ball as much as the other superstars in the MVP discussion. While he leads the league by far in touches per game, his usage rate ranks only 12th, meaning he gives the ball up early and often to his teammates. And that is borne out by his considerable lead in passes per game. And because he's not holding the ball longer and only passing it when his teammates have to shoot it, his assists per game are quote-unquote only at 7.9 per game. But this style has kept the Nuggets firmly in the top 10 in offensive rating, allowing guys like Monte Morris, Will Barton, and Aaron Gordon to look really good. I mean, there's a reason Aaron Gordon is having his best two-point shooting season by over 7 percentage points this year. I also have a fetish for the one-footed jump shot, and he's made the Sombor Shuffle into a signature jump shot of his. Most players would go off their non-shooting side, but Jokic instead jumps off the right foot, and while he's done it more in the past and only made one of these this year, it still makes me get out of my chair whenever I see it. Defensively, he has improved a lot from his early days, and the Nuggets need to be most concerned about his pick-and-roll defense since teams will surely attack him out of this action in the playoffs. One thing he's good at is deflecting pocket passes. His basketball IQ is so high, he knows how to read the ball handler's eyes and also how to position himself so that his long arms can get into the passing lanes for deflections and steals. As the competition gets better deeper into the playoffs, these steals are a lot harder. But his presence here definitely keeps ball handlers alert and forces them to be on point or else risk a bad turnover. Where he's also good is at angling ball handlers into tough positions, so he can move enough to cut off the attacker and lead him into spots where he can challenge easier, normally to the edge of the lane or out of it entirely, and then baiting them into taking the dreaded long two-point shot that the Nuggets are perfectly happy to give up. However, he really struggles with the fast guards who can get downhill before he can angle them into a different direction. There's lots of evidence of his inability to not only keep up with the quickness, but also ineffective with his challenges at the rim, where a guy like Embiid might have the athletic explosion to recover for a blocked shot. Jokic does not have this ability. In the end, if you want to point to a stat that clearly shows why Jokic is the MVP, it's his on-off advanced numbers. No one is even close to this big of a difference for his respective team. And if you choose to say that the MVP is the most valuable player for his team, then no one is more valuable than Nikola Jokic.